In today's video, we'll be looking at how to mix your vocals to sound professional. This will be the part 2 of this video. The part 1 was done 2 years ago, and this is like a remake. Now, I'll be walking you through my mixing process for lead vocals and for doubles and harmonies. That would be in another video. Now, first of all, what is mixing? Is actually balancing the tracks so that we can hear them clearly. And here is exactly what I do when I want to mix. First of all, right here is the instrumental, and what I would do is I set the gain at minus 8 dB, and sometimes when I don't get clarity, I remove a bit from the 200 and a bit from 1.6K. Now, away from that, the lead vocals are the main focus. So leaving them at 0 dB most of the times is very good. But sometimes we can decide to remove a little bit, especially in chorus section. Now, let's go into the presets we use to mix this vocal. But before that, I'm gonna play this vocal so you hear how good it sounds. There's no going back. He's gone through your blood and veins. There's no going back. He's gone through your blood and veins. Blood so scary when we hear, so scary when we know the ocean took a space, wash our world. Now enough of that. So let's go into the mixing process. Now for the mixing processes, I'm gonna be dropping my presets that I use. So first of all, we go with an auto-tune, just the normal classic auto-tune. And I don't like using too much. You can choose to use too much or too less based on your type of music and what you find attractive. First of all, what we have here is the noise gate. I normally like using the noise gate just to cut off that noise coming from the background. And using a noise gate is totally optional. If you feel that the voice cleaner or the noise 2 is okay, so there'll be no need for a noise gate. Next is the gain, and for gain I just add 1 dB to my vocals. Why do I use this plugin? It's because this plugin can help as a vocal amplifier. Now, for many of us, we use microphones without amplifiers, and we don't have an external amplifier while recording. So based on that, using the gain to help amplify the vocal is good. Now, amplifying the vocal doesn't mean you need to always add gain. Sometimes subtracting with the gain 2 can also help amplify vocals. Next is spring reverb. Now, this is also optional. It's just a kind of reverb that helps you make your voice shine. Now, if your vocal is too dry and is needing that shiny edge, maybe for a soul music or an R&B type of song, then the spring reverb is one metallic thing you need to check out. Next is 1176 compressor. Now the 1176 is a smooth compressor, likewise TechLab BA2A. I normally drop these compressors side by side each other each time I'm mixing. Now you can see my input at 10 dB, output 0 dB. Okay, no crazy stuff right here. The only thing you can notice is that I compress a lot, leaving the ratio at a hash 20:1. And then I come ahead to smooth things up by putting a TechLab BA2A, and you can see the gain is at 60. Depends on your song. You can choose to increase or reduce the gain, and a little bit of squeeze just to bring the vocal back to a state of sounding natural. Now, for the graphic EQ, I prefer subtracting. You can see right here, I subtract a lot from 100 because that area carries a lot of low end energy that we don't even need in our vocals. And most of the times, it's advisable to just roll that off. Now, I remove a little bit from 200 and a little bit from 100. And this is the boxy area. That's 800. 1.6K, that's the nasal area. And when you remove just a bit from this, you get to hear this merging of your vocal with the song. Now, the 3K, I like this area because it comes with a lot of presence. Now, 6.4K is clarity. Now, I'm not saying you should use these exact settings, but I'm saying that we should try to make the vocal more clear, less muddy, and less harsh using the graphic EQ. Now, after subtracting, I tend to boost the vocal using the level. You can choose to follow a different method, up to you. Now, if you don't understand much about the graphic EQ, I'll be linking a video in this video description that explains more about the graphic EQ. Next right here is the beat crusher. And the beat crusher is just a simple distortion that keeps the vocal sounding electric. Using this too much can end up spoiling the whole thing. You can see right here, I did the beats at 16, intensity very low, and the mix very low as well. You can choose to go lower or higher depending on you. Make sure you use your ears to listen. Next is BL driver distortion. Now, this distortion is one of my best distortion, and you can see right here, I don't want the distortion sound to come out in my vocal. So I want my vocal to sound smooth. Now, I leave my volume at a very moderate position where I like it to be. Now, for the tone, why I'm going at 8K is because at 8K, that's where we get the aggressive sound of a vocal. Next is visual EQ. Then this is for those in the pro plan. If you're in the pro plan, comment below and say pro plan. So I know you're in the pro plan. But if you're not in the pro plan, you can also comment below and ask me what to do when you're not on the pro plan, and I will send you something to do. Now, if you have the visual EQ on the pro plan, now when you put this on, it always sets itself at picking, and that means which frequency should it pick. Now, for number one, I mostly set number one at 300 because that place have a lot of warmth, and I can choose to increase that 300 by any amount of uh dB I want, decibels I want. Now, I normally use a sub to 1 to 2 decibel boost. Next is the 3. Around that area, I sometimes boost this area 12K, and whenever I use 12K there, I tend to have right here, that's 12K. 12K is actually air, and we'll boost 12K by 1 decibel as well. So what does that do? It adds air to the vocal, makes the vocal sound airy. Next is the vocal enhancer. Now, the vocal enhancer add more mid-range and high-end sound to a vocal while removing some of the low end. And it also helps the vocal sound metallic. It's a good thing to test while mixing. Most of the times, I advise setting it at warm or modern, depending on what you like. Next is the exciter. Why I love this plugin so well is this. It helps give that shiny edge to the vocal without causing any harshness. So it's a very, very nice plugin to work with. I did a video on exciter. If you need the video, comment below and I'm gonna send that video to you so you get to understand the exciter more. Next is the De-esser, and you can hear right here how this plugin begins to cut out S and T's from my voice and makes my voice sound less harsher. And that's what it does to your music. People listen to your music with very loud instruments, with very loud speakers, very loud earpiece. So using a de-esser is very good. And you can see my placement as I place these plugins behind the De-esser, all these plugins contribute to vocal harshness. So placing them before the De-esser, so all their harshness can be cut off. Now, after the De-esser cut off all of those, next is you want to put in a space maker. Now, what your space maker do is just like any type of reverb. You can use the space maker or you can use the studio reverb or you can use the univerb or whatever reverb that suits you and you use it to create a sense of space. For me, I prefer using the plate reverb because that sounds more suitable for vocals as it gives it that dry, metallic, and shiny end. Now, for more special vocals, you can use the studio reverb and increase the mix to make your vocal sound more spacious, or you can use a univerb and find a special preset in the univerb to use. Now, to wrap it up, is a delay. You can select whatever delay you want. Now, for me, I go with a ping pong delay mix at a very low range. Now, I like my delay to have its settings at the 16th note. Now, you can see that one of the delay comes before the other, so I can get more of that ping pong effect. Next is my feedback. Now, leaving your feedback at 0%, 10%, 20% depends on you. It depends on what you like doing. Next is my cutoff. And my cutoff, I set it at 1,000. And sometimes I set 1,500, 500, 900. It's just actually what sounds good to me. That's what I use for cutoff. And what it's just doing is which frequencies are to be filtered. So when I set at 1,000, every frequency above 1,000 hertz in the delay will be filtered. Next is the spread of the delay. Now the spread of the delay is at a very low range. I set mine at 15. You can choose to go higher than this. Just make sure that this doesn't muddy your mix. Now, talking about delays, in my next videos on the Know Your Plugin series, it will be purely about delays. Now, this is a very good trick I do. After I'm done with my lead vocal, I duplicate the vocal into another section. Now, this section, I will reduce it by 6 dB or 6 decibels. Now, the auto-tune with the auto-tune of the lead vocal have to be the same. Now, what are the plugins you use? This is a stereo widening section, and what you want to do with it is you want to use this to create a sense of space, but this time you want that to happen without modding your mix. Now, what we have is the noise gate at first. So I put in a noise gate to remove all those noise bouncing in and the noise that will come here after. Next is a spring reverb. I like using spring reverb for my doubles, but this is optional, totally optional. You can choose to or not. Now, for the 1176, same settings as that of the lead, same settings with the Tech Lab as that of the lead. Now, coming to graphic EQ, what I did was roll off the whole of this 100, 200, 400 hertz. Now, also roll off a lot of the clarity because this is just a supporting area that supports the mid-range of the vocal. Now, you can choose to use a visual EQ or not. If you don't have a visual EQ or you're not on the pro plan, you can use a multi-filter to cut down peaking in the vocals. Next is the chorus ensemble, and this gives this mid-range chorus to the vocal doubling presets, and you can see I reduce the amount and the depth. You understand? You just have to use your ears to make sure you're not making any mistakes. So the de-esser is very important to stop that harsh sound that comes out from the vocal. Now, next is a studio reverb. You can use any reverb for this, up to you. Next is the stereo widening plugin. This stereo widening plugin is the best plugin, or maybe the most important plugin for this section, because this stereo wise plugin will help give you that spreading of your vocals around the whole mix. Don't forget to reduce this so you don't end up using the doubler to muddy up your mix. Make sure you don't put any delay on this section. Just reverb and whatever, but anything like delay or any extra vocal doubling presets, say no. Now, the vintage limiter will help you limit this so that no matter what you do here, it will never be as loud as the lead vocal. Take note, the arrangement of these presets is very important. Feel free to go back, watch again, and make sure you get the whole thing right. Right here, you can see my volume was reduced by 1 dB because I want these spreading vocals to reduce by 1 dB each time my lead vocal kicks. The spreading vocal or the vocal spread section gives the vocal width and strength, especially in the mid-range. Hope you learned something from this. Drop your questions in the comment section. If you have music on BandLab that needs mixing from a professional, you can contact me using my WhatsApp number. And also, if you want to purchase my full course, you want to get my full course, where I teach you how to make pro vocals, pro instrumentals, pro beats, and pro music one on one and helping you throughout the process. You can also contact me as well. It's very affordable and anybody can do this. Till you see you again next time. Peace. There's no going back. It's gone through your blood and veins. There's no going back. It's gone through your blood and veins. Blood and veins. There's no going back. It's gone through your blood and veins. There's no going back. It's gone through your blood.